The famous artist Andy Warhol once said something really wise. He said, in the future, everyone, you, me, everyone, will be world famous for 15 minutes. And boiled down, the expression 15 minutes of fame became well known. Well, back in the old days, when I wore a younger man's shoes, I did, in addition to being a teacher, did some movie and television extra work. And so I got to meet some famous people. And so here we go. The first person I met on the set of a television show called Tour of Duty. And I met this guy, Carl Weathers. You're saying, I've never seen this guy before in my life. I think you have. If you've watched The Mandalorian, well, he's Grief Karga, the character in The Mandalorian. Well, another famous person I met was none other than Hamilton's Lin-Manuel Miranda. And here he is, photo op with him. And finally, well, I was doing a movie for Disney at the Epcot Center, and this is Martin Short. So, once again, although not famous myself, I've met some famous people. And so celebrity fame has kind of come upon Eli as well. And he doesn't necessarily want it or welcome it, but it is at his front door nonetheless. So that's one concept that's going to be happening in chapter 16, Rite of Passage. And Rite of Passage is when you're kind of transitioning from boy to man or girl to woman. And sometimes when that happens, you're not really assured of all of your emotions. And I saw this all the time as a school teacher. You know, you'd see boys on the playground and they couldn't quite get in words what they were feeling as far as anger or being upset or being mad. So of course they do this, let their fists do the talking for them. So with that in mind, I want you to listen in on chapter 16, Rite of Passage. And away we go. Summer came and went, and now middle school was on the near horizon. Eli and Murph continued their morning routine, heading off together for the first day of school at Henry Ford Middle School, just the way they had done during their early years at Thomas Edison Elementary. Eli was thankful to have such a hulking friend as a middle school bodyguard. Part of the education of middle school would be learning how to negotiate danger zones, which Murph described as the crossroads where the wrong place meets up with the wrong time. Eli and Murph were pretty quick studies of the middle school landscape, so they quickly learned that the best way to survive sixth grade was to stick together and travel in packs. Every once in a while, though, isolation couldn't be helped. One day, Eli was called out of homeroom to go to the orthodontist. He was having his first appointment for getting braces. Stopping in the boys' bathroom first, he was accosted by an 8th grader who seemed to be loitering around there playing hooky from class. Playing hooky is when you skip school. Well, what do we have here? Said the 8th grader, if it isn't that inventor geek of the year. Hey, I saw you on television this summer. Bet you wish you had fly car right now to whoosh you right on out of here. He knocked Eli's textbooks out of his arm. Out of thin air, an assistant principal arrived on the scene and began questioning the pair. Where are you supposed to be, son? He asked Eli. Well, I'm trying to get to my orthodontist appointment. Well, you better get going, young man, or you're going to be late. Gratefully, Eli picked up his school supplies and scooted down the hallway and out the double doors. As he glanced back, he was pleased to see that the 8th grader was being accosted to the office for further questioning. Eli briskly jogged to his family's black sedan with its personalized Martin license plate, Martin Mom, hopped into the passenger seat and slammed the door. You look a little harried. Is everything okay? Mom asked. I'm fine, Eli lied. How you feeling about getting braces? It's a necessary evil, I guess. Let me get a quick look at that smile of yours because I won't be seeing it for much longer, Mom teased. All was quiet for a few minutes as they made their way to the orthodontist's office. Eli was glad for the chance to gather his thoughts. When he wasn't brainstorming new ways to survive sixth grade, Eli was wondering what actually happened to Flycar. He knew his dad had begun taking it to and from work every day, and it had attracted attention on his commute. People were talking about it as the next wave of transportation. Some thought that the car and airplane makers could merge, creating a hybrid vehicle that would reduce traffic and help families spend more time together. Eli was torn on this concept. He had built Flycar to give his father more time to spend with him, but instead his dad was spending his increased free time on his smartphone and work. All Eli's invention had actually done, it seemed, was make his father even busier as an executive and less available as a dad. Could we go to the Tigers game? Eli asked. I thought you didn't like baseball, Mom said. Well, I don't actually, but Dad does, so I thought we could all go as a family. Talk, eat peanuts and popcorn, maybe catch a foul ball. Okay, I'll run it by your father, Mom smiled as she dropped Eli off for his appointment. That Friday night, the Tigers were opening a series against the dreaded New York Yankees. Eli and his mom were all set to meet his dad at the ballpark, and since the stadium was only 10 blocks away from Martin Motors' corporate headquarters, it would be easy. But his dad had reserved a luxury box for the ball game, invited some of his fellow executives and board members to attend. This is just going to be like work, Eli thought, with Dad running around, holding court with a bunch of businessmen in suits. The game would just be white noise in the background. Sure enough, Eli was right. He had become pretty skilled at eavesdropping in on adult conversations. Although he didn't completely understand the exchanges between the men, who spoke in business jargon and low whispers, he did get the gist of what they were saying. Key words like scalable and production schedules and FAA approval danced in his ears. But it was the comment by his father at the neighboring business titan to a neighboring business titan that had really ticked him off. Apparently, his dad was betting the entire company's future of Martin Motors on a new and improved Flycar for the upcoming model year. Eli didn't know what to think. He felt honored to be part of a long line of the Martin men who had kept the family company alive for the next generation, but he also felt like his creativity was being exploited by his father to make money and corporate profits. His stomach twitched. He asked his mom if they could head home. But you didn't even make it to the seventh inning stretch. Don't you want to sing? Take me out to the ball game, Mom asked. Nah, I just want to go home. His mom quickly went over to his dad, lightly tapped him on the shoulder. He nodded and excused himself from the circle of executives who were speaking excitedly in low voices. Michael, I'm going to take Eli home. He's pretty wiped out from the week and going to the ortho, she said. Sure, I understand. He gave her a quick hug. Eli and his mom exited the ballpark while his dad and the executives talked throughout the entire evening. They completely missed an exciting come-from-behind victory by the Tigers. When the game ended, they gave a polite golfer's clap and moved toward their luxury vehicles in the nearby reserved parking lot. Eli asked a lot of questions on the ride home. Mom, did you know that Dad was planning on bringing Flycar into full-scale production? Well, your father's been pretty tight-lipped when it comes to running the family business, Eli, Mom offered. Yeah, I know all that, but what did your sixth sense tell you? You've always had a good intuition when it comes to reading Dad. Well, I suspected that he'd try to save the company by bringing Flight Car to market. Mom sighed dejectedly. She was torn between her love for Eli and defending her husband's mission to save Martin Motors. Without my permission? Eli said testily. Yep. Mom sounded conflicted. Eli knew that she was bracing for the inevitable storm to come. When did you know exactly? Well, I had a feeling that was his plan when he started pushing to get Flycar patented, Mom said. And why didn't you tell me? I thought maybe, just maybe, history might be different this time. Eli looked skeptical. Now, before you flip your switch, Eli, I want you to consider this, Mom said. Your father is trying to save the jobs of 20, count them, 20,000 employees. You like Grady, right? Well, your dad's not just doing this entirely for the money. He has to look into the eyes of thousands of Gradys every single day when he walks the assembly line of Martin Motors. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I get it. I guess somebody has to be the CEO's son, but it doesn't mean that I have to like it. Eli looked down at the ground. He had given anything right then and there to have a regular family, not a family whose whole world revolved around Martin Motors. One more question, Mom, and that's it. Sure, Elia. I thought I overheard Dad discussing the possibility of a patent with one of the board members. I could have sworn I heard him say that his name, Michael Martin, was on the official document. Do you know anything about this? What your dad does at work is his business, Mom replied. Mom, we were supposed to be going to the Tigers game as a family tonight. A luxury suite is not supposed to be the Martin Motors boardroom. And besides, I invented Flycar. Eli pounded the armrest for emphasis. Just then, the black sedan pulled into the circular driveway of Martin Manor. Eli ran up to his room. It didn't take him too long to figure out exactly what he needed to do next. He waited until the house was completely quiet. Then he snuck out of the back screen door and down into the barn. He pointed his security-sized metallic red flashlight at the wooden red rooster and plucked the keys to the barn's double door from underneath it. He slid the doors open and carefully found Flycar comfortably tucked into the barn for the night. Eli swiftly swept up the hay from under the stairs that led to the loft. He lifted the trapdoor and he grabbed for the plastic tackle box. He flipped the brass levers on its side simultaneously. Sitting in its usual spot was the key to the flying machine. Eli scooped it up with a single motion and snatched it up. Next, he flipped the car cover to the ground and gave Flycar a long, admiring look before sliding into the familiar black leather driver's seat. With a deep breath, he slipped the key into the ignition and moved the shifter into the neutral position. After depressing the emergency brake, he pushed with all of his might, and he was able to get the car out of the barn without making too much noise. Once he was clear of the barn, he calmly thought through his plan. He would accelerate the car down the lawn at full speed and then place a 10-pound cast iron weight he had found in the barn onto the gas pedal and hop out at the last minute, causing Flycar to bound into Old Man Murphy's pond and find its final resting place at the bottom of its murky depths. Eli started the car with a loud revving of the engine. Vroom, vroom, vroom. It felt rebellious and right to be making such a loud racket at this late hour of night. Peering in the rearview mirror, he noticed that a light immediately turned on in the master bedroom of Martin Manor. With a newfound sense of urgency, he slammed the automatic shifter into drive and pushed the gas pedal down to the floor. Flycar rapidly responded and began roaring down the lawn at top speed. Eli had rolled down the driver's side window of the car. The night air felt chilly on his bare arms as it rushed by. Goosebumps were forming on his skin, but he wasn't sure if they were due to the temperature or the upcoming trouble he soon knew would be facing him. He prepared himself for the impact upon a sudden exit. Eli had once seen a stunt show at an amusement park that had captivated him. He had learned how movie and television people, stunt people, learn to fall in certain ways to prevent injuries when filming a dangerous scene. Now he was planning to imitate what he had seen, in particular the hit and roll technique he had seen at the show. Eli shoved the cast iron weight onto the gas pedal and took his foot off the gas, but it still kept going. At the last passable second, he leaned into the door, made a high-speed escape. The soft grass buffered some of the blow, but the landing still knocked the wind out of him. Poof, poof, poof. He rolled 6 consecutive times and stopped just in time to see Flycar float off the edge of the bank, soar into the night air, and splash headfirst into Old Man Murphy's pond. And here's Flycar going into Old Man Murphy's pond. Chapter number 16, Rite of Passage. What will happen next?